All right, I did not check audio. So it looks like it is working. Good. Okay. Let's do this a little bit higher. Okay, tell me if I'm coming through nice and clear. Kind of wait for everyone to join. All right, I just heard it go off on my phone, which means that we are live. Okay, so go ahead and wait a couple minutes. A couple of people are on, I see. Go ahead and leave a comment once you start joining. A few people are on. We have a break in the weather. It's a lot cooler this week. So this week we have a weird assortment of kids at the house. Hello, good. All right, awesome. I don't have the microphone. My husband didn't set it up for me, and I think it's in the music room. I'm not even sure. So I was not able, I don't even see it around. So it must be in the music room. So I was not able to set it up. So it has to go through the webcam, and I have the fan on me because we don't run the air during the week at the church. So, hey, Janello. Mrs. Southern Belle, Sarah, good to have you guys on. All right. So anyways, my husband is gone with Abby and Allie and Lana in Nebraska this week. He is preaching for Pastor Matt First. He invited him to preach at a camp that they're doing at Pastor Bill Reeves' camp that he has there in Nebraska. So they are all there until Friday evening sometime. So it's just me, Chloe, the babies, and the older two boys, but they'll be working most of the time. So you know how that is. But I'm going to be getting Chinello. I actually wanted to talk to you. I would love to have Miss Chinello on again to do a back to school special. I love the way that she teaches her kids. I love the way that I love her program that she uses, and it's different than mine. So I like throwing ideas off of people that do things differently. So I'm hoping to have a back to school, not like putting pressure on her when I'm asking her right here during the live show, but I would love to have a back to school special, hopefully with her in the next couple of weeks. So that's just a thought for you to be aware of that I saw your name, so sorry. But anyways, let's get into the subject. My husband did a sermon last night called Riotous Children, and I thought it was really good. And it got me to thinking on this subject of moderation. In America 2022, everything is very easy. We have produced a generation of kids who have never been through anything difficult. Everything's handed to them. They tend to be borderline excessive with everything they do. Whether that's temper tantrums, food, laziness, etc., they don't do anything in moderation for the most part. I'm talking about generally. So I pulled up an article about why moderation in your life is good, and I thought I would read through it. Now, obviously, there's only 5 points. It's a very short article. One of the points that they did was alcohol, which I don't think alcohol should have any place in a Christian's life. So I'll go over that. But if I was a Christian, I wouldn't do it in moderation. I would not do it at all. Zilch. Teetotaler here, no alcohol. I don't even like going to places where alcohol is being pushed or promoted or everything centers around alcohol, like in a bar or something. I don't even like doing that. So we try to kind of eat at the restaurants that don't have that. But this is the article. It says, everything in moderation, nothing in excess. These words have been attributed to many wise individuals over time, including Socrates some 2,500 years ago. Moderation is the idea that an individual should avoid extremes and instead focus on having a life committed to balance and wholeness. Sorry, Chanel. No pressure. In a society that promotes pleasure seeking and erroneously equates having more with happiness, the idea of moderation is often ignored. We forget how simple it is to please ourselves because we are constantly looking out at the world, trying to obtain more and comparing ourselves to others. My clients, the person who wrote this, I don't even know who wrote it, often fall prey to their insatiable drive to obtain material wealth they believe will supply their families with security and happiness. They are so competitive and driven to obtain more wealth that they often forget to look around them and appreciate the commodities they already possess. While money can contribute to an individual's sense of security and the ability to live comfortably, it does not directly relate to achieving happiness. The key to experiencing greater fulfillment and happiness is through moderation. And I would agree with that. Because you think of the millionaire that tries to just get more money and more money and more money. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money they have, they're still miserable. So, and then this author gave below are tips to achieve moderation in different aspects of your life. With work, remind yourself to work in order to live and not live in order to work. Your job is only a part of your self-worth, and you have other achievements in your life worth being proud of that require the same focus and discipline. Diets. Fad diets cause us to engage in extreme restrictions that tend to lead to failure. And I have often been prey to this as well. I usually do so well when I'm going to do this, but then once I fall off the bandwagon, I just fall off. So it is important to practice moderation in your weight loss programs and to participate in an overall approach to eating and living healthily. Healthily? That's the word. We are heading into the holiday season, prime time for an excess of food on the table. Be mindful to take just a little of each food option. And I like that. That's good advice. And then alcohol, they put something about alcohol doing so in moderation. I don't agree. Go on to technology. Technology is a wonderful tool that connects us to others and provides us with information. However, when use of technology interferes with our interpersonal relationships and actually hinders our productivity, it is important to moderate usage. And I fully agree with that, 100%. And then stress. According to the Yerkes-Dodson law, I don't know what that is, a certain level of stress arousal is necessary to achieve top performance. And I do agree with that. So you need stress in your life to kind of push you to do better, to do more, to keep the edge when it comes to things, especially I think if you're a man, in order to improve in different areas, whether that's a skill or job or whatever. So I do think we need a certain level of stress in our life. Yet when this arousal or stress becomes too high, the performance level drops. It is important to moderate your stress level and recognize when stress is becoming detrimental to your productivity or health. In our world filled with constant stimulation, more stimulation does not equal happiness. Research has found that while our senses are acutely tuned into the input they receive from new experiences, they become acclimated quickly to the stimuli. And the stimuli loses the ability to give us pleasure. Professor Marvin Zuckerman states, even what was initially very exciting becomes blasé when you've done it 100 times. So you need something more exciting, something new. And that's where I think we do have adrenaline junkies, where they just look for that adrenaline. They look for that adrenaline rush. And this can be even with Christians. I've noticed this a lot in the ministry, people wanting to go to the exciting church, the church where stuff is happening and the numbers are huge. And, they're doing all this stuff and missions trips and conferences and all this stuff. It's so exciting. And they go because of the adrenaline rush they get when they start doing these. But then when the excitement dies down, they go looking for it somewhere else. So that tends to happen quite a bit. Therefore, finding the delicate balance between extreme pleasure and boredom creates the most opportunity to sustain long-term happiness, health, and success. So that article only focused on 5 different areas, and one of them I would completely throw out because it was about alcohol. But what are some areas that us as Christians can focus in on? I wanted to go through these and how we can instill these in our kids, because I do think it is something that is lacking in today's world, moderation in any form. My son lately, my oldest son, hey Julia, has been running half marathons, and I think it's a good idea to get kids involved in something physical that they can do that can provide a challenge for them. With him, it's teaching him endurance, moderation, the consequences of bad choices, such as bad food before a race, not enough sleep before a race. He was just accepted into Bible college, a Baptist Bible college, this past week. So he will be going off to college this fall, actually just a month from now. And he had a marathon that he wanted to do. So I went along with him. He didn't think, he's only 20. He didn't think he'd be able to get a hotel room by himself. So I think you have to be 21 in some states. I wasn't sure about Wisconsin. So I went along with, and we went out to Cheesecake Factory because he had a gift card that he's had ever since the potluck 50 with Pastor Randall. he made it the furthest distance in that. So he still had a gift card. And I could not believe how much that boy ate. He ordered sliders as an appetizer, which is like 4 decent sized sliders. And then ordered a huge cheeseburger and fries. And I can't remember what else came with it. But I was like, Tommy, are you sure you should be eating this before a big race tomorrow? And he's like, oh yeah, everyone tells you that you're supposed to eat a lot the night before. You know, I won't eat anything the day of because I don't want anything in my stomach. But I do think he ended up regretting that the next day. It was super hot. It was in the 90s. People were passing out all over. There was ambulances everywhere. One girl passed out with 0.3 miles left to go. And he was like, I really hope she got up and finished it. And all the guys were teasing him, like, why didn't you stop and help her? But there was a pet paramedic surrounding her, I guess, because she had passed out. So, you know, I think he probably was thinking, why did I eat those 4 sliders and that huge cheeseburger the night before? So I don't know if he will be doing that the next time. I don't know. We'll see. Also, you know, so it teaches him how to moderate himself when it comes to even food the night before, you know, the day of. I also don't think that certain things in life are inherently sinful, but I do believe that we should show moderation in all things, whether they're good, whether they're just neutral, you know, where the Bible's silent, we don't want to make up rules. So things like television, food, even Starbucks, etc. You know, when I have gone a while without teaching, or I don't have a Starbucks gift card or something, I usually don't even go through there. It's just, I think it's frou-frou, you know, it's like frou-frou money. So if I am teaching, you know, I will allow myself luxuries every once in a while, but it's not something that I will do if, you know, I'm watching the money really closely, or I'm taking from grocery money to get that. Obviously that's not good. And I didn't even put financial stuff on here, but I kind of do want to go over financial stuff near the end, because even as women, we control, I think, a lot of the finances. I know I do. I pay the bills most of the time. Well, most of them are automatic, but I do have to still go and manually pay a couple bills. I control the grocery money, the budget there. There's a lot of things as women that we do. So we have to be very moderate even when it comes to our finances, I believe. And we've done different shows on that. You can look them up. I've done some with Sarah Turner. Just about being on a budget. My husband's done a video on how to establish a budget. So that all goes into moderate living. But how do we exhibit moderation in? And I'm going to go over some that are kind of synonymous with being a Christian, and especially being an IFB Baptist. We talk about these things a lot. Hey, Beth, we've missed you in the chat. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is standards. How do we exhibit moderation and standards? I've been IFB my entire life, so I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I do believe that some people can be extremely over the top when it comes to these. Maybe you believe that you should dress like Laura Ingalls. I think that's not sustainable exactly. Now, with the line of dresses that have come out at Target lately, maybe it is if they continue with that line of dresses, but I do not think it's sustainable to dress that way all the time. You know, don't add to the Bible where the Bible is silent. Don't add all these extra standards. Don't be more hardcore than God. God did define nakedness in the Bible for us, which is basically the thigh, you know, the loin area, the thigh area. So for me, I'm not going to say, well, God said that this is nakedness, so I'm going to take a step further, and I think you should wear your dresses dragging on the floor. You know, if you want to, that's fine, but I would not suggest that you impose that on other people. Or a lot of times what happens is when people get over the top standards, they then tend to look down on everyone else that's not up to par, not up to their standard. And this goes with anything that we're talking about, actually. So that's just a part. The opposite of moderation is an excess, right? And some people are in excess with standards, the way they treat other people, the way they look down on other people for not having the same standards as them. So, you know, just don't be over the top when it comes to stuff, would be my suggestion for that. I have often found that those, and this tends to be sometimes with baby Christians, they get saved and they get into a church and they think they just need to be like, and they're growing very quickly. And so often they look at maybe someone that's been saved for 30 some years, like I have been. And they're like, I want to get there tomorrow. I want to be to that point tomorrow, whether it comes to standards, whether it comes to, her walk with Christ, whatever it is. And so they just start getting rid of things in their life left and right. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this. Well, the pastor's wife, I know she seems godly and she wears skirts below the knee, but I'm going to take it a step further and I want to be even godlier and I'm going to wear them to my ankle, that type of mentality. So, and a lot of it is baby Christians, but the problem is that oftentimes they become burnt out and it's not sustainable. And like I say all the time, our Christian life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So we're in this for the long haul. So you need to do something that's sustainable for your life. Be consistent in what you decided. And whether what it comes down to is it needs to be your conviction. Don't just do something because the pastor does it or the pastor's wife does it, or you just want to fit in at church because all the ladies are doing it. I always tell women who are on the fence, pants, skirts, I don't really push them like, oh, you should just really get rid of the pants. That's not me, for one, because I've seen it where women were pushed into that. They make a public decision. I'm doing this. I'm going to give this up. I'm going to give up pants. I'm going to be in skirts only. But it's almost like it was peer pressure. And they were kind of, they felt forced into it. And just a year or two later, they abandoned it by the wayside. And they tend to go more the other way then. So maybe it's because they're extreme in their thinking. And that's why they just did it, even though they didn't really believe it. But if you do it, be fully persuaded in your mind is my suggestion. So be careful declaring everything a sin. That is in video games, movies, shows, entertainment, which we'll talk about later, etc. So oftentimes this could be peer pressure too, or trying to one up each other at maybe church. I don't have cable TV. Well, I don't even have a TV in my home. Well, I don't even have a laptop computer that I can watch, that my kids can watch Paw Patrol on, and it's just constantly one-upping each other. Be careful of that mentality. Be careful of the attitude, because you're just going to go around wondering what other people are doing, wondering if you're strict enough, wondering, just comparison is a thief of joy, even when it comes to this. Don't compare yourself to other families. You and your husband get together and decide, what do we want in our house? What do we not want in our house? When you walk into our living room, you're going to see a TV mounted on the wall. And we don't try to throw a blanket over it when people come over. We don't try to hide it. We don't like get out the screen and put it, like one of those folding screens that you change clothes behind and like put it in front of the TV so no one can see that we have a TV. No, that's stupid. Our standards in our home are not yours. Your standards in your home are not mine. I don't go I don't go over to other people's houses looking for things that I can condemn them for. That's not right. And we're going to be judged the same way. Everyone has different standards when it comes to things. So if you are that way with other people, people will judge you the same way. And you can be as hardcore as you want, or you can be maybe you think you're the most hardcore in the world. There's someone that's more hardcore than you. There always is. So be careful having that mentality. Okay, so how do we exhibit moderation in clothing? Remember, and this kind of goes along with standards, but remember what you do in moderation, your kids will tend to do in excess. So explain why you have standards, have Bible for it. Don't just demand it because they are your kids. Okay, why do we dress this way? Because you're a pastor's kid. That's just going to put a horrible connotation in their mind. Well, we have to do this because we're a pastor's kid and people are watching us. And if we don't, what are they going to say? That's horrible. I know back in the IFB of the 70s, they came up with a lot of funny things such as no shorts ever. And some people are still #old pads and sticking to that. And that's fine if that's your standard. But I think part of it was because a lot of the shorts back then were like little booty shorts, which showed the thigh, which would be considered nakedness, above their knee. Well, then the shorts got longer, but the preaching still stayed the same. The shorts are not what was sinful. It was the showing of nakedness that was sinful. So you have to be careful condemning a thing. Rather, you need to look at the principle behind it. You know, the shorts themselves were not inherently sinful. It was the nakedness, which God declared in the Bible. That was where the sin lay. So, but let's go into food. So where can we exhibit moderation with food? So don't be over the top with this one too. All of this really comes down to balance. And you need balance in every area of your life, but even with food, you know, because I was just joking about this with the ladies in my church, because there's this like satire account out there. You probably know of it. She makes fun of crunchy mamas. And I was like getting offended for all the crunchy mamas. I do not consider myself crunchy. I like to do things, I'm like in the middle. I'm like not give vaccine shots, you know, jabs, take them to the doctor for every little thing. I'm not that, but I'm also not like, you know, grow your own peat moss for diapers, which is what this girl was making fun of. You know, I'm not like, you know, 100% organic because I can't afford it. I like organic food. I would be more so if I could afford it, but I can't with my budget. And yeah, so I'm kind of in the middle. You know, I do what I can. I do what I can afford, but it's not a huge deal to me if my kids eat sugar. It's not a huge deal to me if we have to have McDonald's every now and then. I got my baby's Happy Meals today from McDonald's because we went to the water parks or the splash pad. We have a splash pad in Dixon. And I had got them all hyped up because Daddy was going to be gone. So I wanted to do something special with them. So I got them Happy Meal, which they were super excited about. And I'm not going to apologize for that. You know, I'm not over the top with it. I do think it can turn into a religion with some where they look down on those who do allow their kids to have sugar. They look down on those who do go to McDonald's. They look down on those who don't do all organic. And you have to be really careful about that. You can do what you need to for your family, but just remember, you don't need to impose that on other people. So I do think it can be kind of a religion where they almost feel like they're sinning if they're on the go and they have to get Arby's. They feel like they're sinning. That's kind of where it turns into a religion because there is nothing inherently sinful about fast food. So, you know, I guess you can claim the verse, something about, you know, the body is the temple and, you know, take care of it. But if it's an everyday thing, I think you could claim that. But if it's every once in a while, I don't think you're going to die. And I don't think it's sinful. So that's just that's funny, Sarah. That's funny because I just ate a cookie dough ice cream waffle cone. I went grocery shopping today. So I got waffle cones and chocolate chip cookie dough, my favorite ice cream. I just ate a waffle cone before I came. But I didn't eat 5 waffle cones. You know, I had moderation. I ate 1. So, you know, show and exhibit healthy eating and living to your kids by example. So that would include cooking from scratch, which if you have a big family like I do, you kind of have to cook from scratch. I remember when we were at Lighthouse, I had Miss Jane on. She loves to tell the story about how she was so impressed. And she is like, she cooks from scratch a lot. You know, she's kind of like me, like kind of in the middle. She's not like over here, but she's not over here. And my kids went over there. She was watching my kids one time and she asked if they wanted a TV dinner. And they said, "What's a TV dinner?" They had no idea what a TV dinner was. And she was like, "I am so proud of you. Your kids didn't even know what a TV dinner is." And I think to this day, I don't get TV dinners for my kids. I don't even think my youngest ones would know what it is. They'd be like, "What's a TV dinner?" But that's because I have a lot of kids and they're expensive. I remember growing up, anytime my mom and dad would go out on a date, they would get a babysitter. And the special treat for us was that they would get those like kid cuisine meals with the little brownie and the corn and like chicken tenders or whatever. And that was like a huge treat for us getting a TV dinner. So I knew what they were growing up, but I always thought they were so expensive. And then when I started buying groceries for my family on a $30 a week budget, I couldn't afford TV dinners. So that was the main reason, not because I was trying to be super healthy, but yeah, TV dinners and junk should be a special occasion, you know, not a way of living. Try not to just I think it's excess, eating when every night you're just cooking a frozen pizza or cooking corn dogs or throwing cereal in front of them. Try to take this seriously, because the way they start out eating, they're going to carry that on to adulthood. So teach them moderation, teach them to eat healthy, teach them to eat their vegetables and their meat, and try to have balanced meals and things like that. So, but obviously adjust when you're going out and about or you're going to people's home. Try to teach them to eat what's in front of them without complaining. Watch carefully for signs of gluttony and address it. And I know this is so taboo in today's society, and I'm probably going to get hate for saying this, but we as parents are responsible for our children's health, and gluttony and becoming overweight are very serious things that can impact a lot of things in their life. For men, it can impact their job and what type of job they get. My boys could not work the job they were doing if they were fat and overweight. They just couldn't. That's just the truth to it. They could not work that type of job. They have to be thin and they have to be able to physically do things. When it comes to even finding a spouse, I think, and I've had, I have friends that struggle with weight, and I struggle with weight. If I ate 5 ice cream cones at a time, or I ate exactly what I wanted to, I would be 300, 400 pounds. I just would. I have to be very, very careful with what I eat. It's a struggle for me. And I think now too, it's part of my thyroid. I have my thyroid gone. Now I have these nodules on my thyroid over here that I have to get checked out. So I do think my thyroid plays into that, but I have to be super, super careful. But, it can affect everything. And I've had my friends tell me, the thing that's hard about being overweight and maybe being obese is that with a lot of other people, they can hide their sins. Obviously, we can never hide from God. And so I don't agree with hiding sins either. But when you're obese, it's almost like your sin is on display, the sin of gluttony. So that is one of the sins. But other sins you can kind of keep under wraps or keep quiet about. So, but yeah, I would, with my kids, I try to really focus on just honing in. We need to eat healthy. Okay. You need to stop eating so many snacks and crackers. And you as the mom, you control what comes into your house. You control healthy snacks. You can do fruit instead of, chips. You can do, my kids like sliced cucumber with ranch dip instead of, I don't know, Little Debbie snacks. I don't even buy Little Debbie snacks. You can do cheese sticks and yogurt and nuts. My kids like all of those things. So try to have healthy options available for them, because it's going to instill good habits as they grow older. So Chanel, I am the same way. Anytime we go on vacation and we have to eat on the go, I am so sick of it. By the time we get home, I'm like, please just let me cook. I need a good home cooked meal. I get so sick of it. Yes, home cooked meals are the way to go. But then what about exercise? Remember that exercise can benefit you, but don't become obsessed. I have noticed a trend among people my age, 30s, early 40s, that they tended to, right about the time they started having marriage problems, they got obsessed with working out. And then not too long after, there was a divorce. So I don't know what the connotation is or the connection, but I almost think that it can become a sort of idol, as with anything in life that can become an idol. I mean, eating all organic and eating healthy can become an idol too. Everything can become an idol if you don't do it in moderation. But I have noticed that a lot of times with the people that become obsessed with just looking great and working out all the time and posting pictures of their improvements in their body, and there tends to be a divorce around that time. So I don't know, maybe someone can tell me what the connection is there. Just becoming absorbed with self, trying to look better for someone else. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of weird. Exhibit a healthy lifestyle for your kids. There are a lot of family adventures that you can do that have health benefits. You can go on hikes. Here in Illinois, there are state parks everywhere. My husband and I just went to the dunes last week, and by the time we were done walking up the trails, walking along the beach, all that, we had over 15,000 steps. So that's quite a bit. That's over 7 miles. So if you do that quite often, it's going to help your kids slim down. It's going to keep them active. It's going to get them used to strenuous activity. So definitely try to do, there's trampoline parks you can do. There's a lot of really fun things you can do. Just go to the zoo, walk around. You're walking around the whole time at the zoo. So there's a lot of healthy things that you can do that don't require just sitting in a movie theater or going to virtual reality. There's laser tag that's really fun. You're constantly running in laser tag. So there's a lot of family adventures you can do. But do remember that there are times for down days. Sometimes when you've had a really crazy schedule, you're going to need a down day where your kids can play video games maybe longer that day than they have in the past. Don't be so just no video games that you never let them enjoy a little bit of downtime. You need downtimes too, where sometimes you just want to listen to the rain and drink your coffee and scroll on your phone or read a book. You need days like that too. So realize that your kids are going to need it as well. So yeah, Maudie, I've noticed it quite a bit. And it does sadly end in divorce a lot. But then entertainment. So let's talk about entertainment. How can we exhibit moderation in entertainment? Be careful about demonizing every fun thing. I can't imagine anything harder for a kid than growing up in a home where it's just no fun's allowed. It's just always discipline. It's always listen to sermons. It's always church functions as far as like services and conferences. It's always sitting in a row like perfect, little soldiers. I can't imagine anything more miserable than that for a kid. When I was growing up, I remember so many times family vacation was a big thing with my mom. She loved to travel. We did a lot of cool family vacations. We camped too. So I know my dad didn't make a lot of money and there was 5 of us. So I know that it wasn't cheap, but my mom came up with fun things to do. We camped along the way. So I remember one of my most memorable trips was South Dakota. We went to Mount Rushmore. I love the prairie dogs. We visited the Badlands. We've been to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've been to a lot of states, and partly because when I was a teenager and growing up, we did that. So I really enjoy those times in my life. And you have to be careful about demonizing every fun thing. No movie is ever good enough for you to watch. No YouTube video is ever good enough for you to watch. Dude Perfect's, too liberal or too worldly for your kids. Paw Patrol is out because, I don't know, the dog sasses his mom or something. Just be careful about demonizing every form of entertainment. Plan family fun days, but let your kids know that it's rare. And life isn't about all the pleasurable things that you do. We're going on a fun adventure. Now, this is going to be, psych them up for it, build it up, build it up for them. But this isn't real life. First we get our work done, then we get to do this fun thing. You can even do that day to day. First we get our school done, then we do the chicken chores, we do all your chores, and then we'll go do this fun thing. We'll go to the splash pad, or we'll go to the wooden park, like my kids call it. We'll go on a hike, we'll go to the trampoline park, whatever it is. So do that for your kids. And you can totally go over the top with spiritual things. When I say that, I mean, Chinello, I don't think that's ever happened in my 20 years of having children. I don't think they've ever sat perfectly in a row. Kudos to you if you have kids that do that, but you're probably a drill sergeant if your kids do that, and that's fine for you, but I'm not that way. So but when I say you can go over the top with spiritual things, I mean having sermons blasting through your house all the time, making your kids sit and write verses if they disobey. That's a great way to make them hate the Bible, just making them do the verses over and over and over again. You can go over the top with that to where they become very burned out. My kids are in church every time the doors are open. We also go to special conferences where they sit through extra preaching. So I don't feel the need to have them sit down and watch a sermon. I don't feel the need to have, that stuff blasting through the house all the time. I think it can be too much. So, and it can make them just get to where they hate it, actually. So provide good alternatives to that, such as music. We do have, Abby puts on the YouTube a lot. on our TV that's mounted in our living room that we don't try to hide when people come over. She puts on good music, such as there's a lot of different, it's really pretty. It's like the scenery is like flowers and mountains and stuff, and it's set to music. So hymns, like usually we like piano because we both play piano. So just piano hymns being played with sometimes nature sounds in it, sometimes rain. It's really pretty and it's really calming. No words to it, no one blare, singing. A lot of times when I get ready, I'll just put on the playlist of our mix from our YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, it's under Liberty Baptist Music. Really pretty songs on there. So I'll put that on and listen to it while I'm getting ready. But, movies, there are some good movies out there. I love the feature films for families. I don't know if those are on PureFlix. PureFlix is they try to keep everything clean on PureFlix. They try to cut out if there's any cussing, they cut it out. They cut out any bad scenes. And someone tell me if feature films for families is on PureFlix. I would get that again if it was, because I love Rigoletto. That's one of my favorite movies. It's about a girl that sings. I love that movie, and it has a really good story to go along with it too. The Buttercream Gang, I grew up watching that. There are also some good movies such as Courageous, that The Flywheel, that teach good godly principles. Don't demonize all that. There are some good movies out there. One of my favorite, it's not really carnal movie. I think it has a Christian underline to it. There's nothing bad in it, is Mom's Night Out. It's a really, really cute movie about a lady that's just super stressed out, and she tries to get a mom's night out with a couple of her friends and everything goes wrong. But it has a really good message too at the end to that one too. So find family-friendly alternatives. Kayla Braze. I've never heard of that. I'll have to check it out for sure. Dude Perfect drives my husband nuts. He thinks that they're just crazy and they're completely over the top in the way they act, but I like it because I know it's clean. I don't have to worry about it. So, and my kids my husband does like the trick shot videos. He thinks that they're pretty cool. He does like the videos of those. Oh, and the stereotypes. He likes the stereotype videos that they do. He thinks they're pretty funny. But yeah, find family-friendly alternatives too, just entertainment, in there. So let's talk about stress. Because like I said before, stress will be in your life, especially my audience, because we have lots of little kids and we're raising kids. Stress is going to be there. So realize that stress will come, but learn how to manage it. Learn how to, I try to get on top of it before it takes over me. So I try to recognize the signs. I've told my church ladies a lot. I usually have to take a trip in January because I get the winter blues. In Illinois, it's really easy to get the winter blues. It's winter for a long time here. And by January and February, you're just done with it. So usually the end of January, beginning of February, right around my birthday. So I kind of count it as a birthday trip. I'll try to plan a trip somewhere. I've gone to Arizona before. Last year I went to Texas. I've done, let's see, those are almost all the time I've traveled. It's been around that time. So I'll just take a couple days and it helps my mind. And I do this because I want to get ahead of it. I don't want to let stress overtake me and then kind of control how I treat other people, how I act, how even I treat my family. So I try to get ahead of it. You can have a lot of stress from social media. And if you find yourself becoming stressed out, which this was me just last week, you just need to take a break and just realize that. It's wisdom to take a break when something is stressing you out. So just take a break, just get off of it. I deleted Facebook off of my phone and it's been a nice couple days. I haven't really now you're so used to it. Like if you're sitting, waiting for something, you just pick up your phone and pop on the app and then you're scrolling, you're seeing stuff you don't want to, you're getting irritated. Spitfire Cassandra was about to come out quite a bit last week. So I just needed to get off. So I deleted it from my phone and it's been out of sight, out of mind. I will get on there once a day on the monitor in my room, the actual computer, to check the Gently Led Sisters group. But that's it. I have some great moderators too that keep on top of that. So I'm not really worried about it. But you know, if social media is stressing you out, just get off of it. Stay off of it. Delete the apps from your phone. That's what I do. It's the temptation is gone. So we can do so much and get into so much trouble with that phone. So just delete it. Delete it so that it's not even an option. Don't quit at whatever you're doing when you're stressed out. Just go on a vacation. If you can't afford a vacation, get someone that you trust to watch your kids and go on a day trip with your husband to something cheap. There's always something cheap. Go on a hike. Do a picnic lunch. Go on a hike for the whole day. You know, obviously this works if you don't have kids that you're nursing or whatever, and if you have trusted grandparents or something that can watch them, but I can't recommend that enough. Remember your husband and plan for a few days away with him if possible. My husband and I live a very busy life. So sometimes on some weeks I'm here and he's there, and we don't really get a chance to connect that often. And I recognize when we're becoming distant. And when I recognize that we're becoming distant, or he's more like a roommate, or I haven't talked to him like for 5 minutes straight in more than 2 weeks, then I'll try to plan something and go away with him. It is well worth, now that we have older kids, it's not a problem for us. We can do that. And it's well worth the money that you're going to spend on eating out and a Priceline hotel room. It's well worth it because you'll have a good block of 24 hours to do things that you enjoy. That's why we went to the dunes. We enjoy hiking together. We enjoy being outside together. We enjoy water. And Lake Michigan's about the closest body of water to us. So we try to make it a point every summer to do that. Get away for the night, go to the Indiana sand dunes, or someplace in Wisconsin around Lake Michigan. So that is very important, to keep that connection and keep that emotional, especially emotional connection. I think as spouses, we can get too comfortable with each other, and you know, you need to keep things spiced up a little bit with your spouse. So yes, audio Bible is good. Alexander Skirby. I've done that before when I'm trying to sleep. He has just a very calming voice. So I've listened to him when I'm trying to sleep before. So keep doing your thing when you're stressed out, but be more aware of your responses. Be more aware of how it's going to come out. And then be aware of what's causing you stress. So if it's too much, if you're just too overburdened with too many things and you feel like you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off, cut it out and keep things priority. For me, in order of, you know, greatest to least, my relationship with my husband is on the top. Me and my kids are on the top. School is on the top. Music lessons are on the top. Church is on the top. So if anything, if music lessons is taken away from church, that's not acceptable. So I might need to cut back on music lessons, which has never happened. But I know my set amount of hours that I can do to where I'm not stretched too thin. And if I feel like I am stretched too thin, I cut back, you know, on that. So just be aware of what's causing you stress. And if it's too much, cut it out. Also be aware that some stress is inevitable, and don't bemoan the fact that you have stress in your life. Stress keeps us on our toes. It keeps us from getting lazy and comfortable. It pushes us to be better and do better. Maybe come up with better, you know, methods at home if you're completely stressed out because your expectations are up to here, and you know, you have to grow your peat moss for your baby's diapers, or you know, the world's going to end. That's totally stressing you out. Maybe you just need to cut that part out of your life. So realize this is great, but maybe in a different season of life, I can do more in this area. You know, this is not so great, you know, because it's causing me too much stress. It's too much stress to do cloth diapering right now, which is why I did it with Kelly, but I did not do it when I had 2 babies in them. It was too much. Christina, my daughter's into gardening, and it really helps her. So yes, find something that will bring you peace, not cause you stress, that will help alleviate some of that stress. So All right, so financial, I'm just going to hit this really quickly. I'm going to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. Obviously, as women, sorry about the notifications going off in the background. Obviously, as women, we have a lot of control when it comes to the finances. So obviously, the verses in Proverbs talks about the heart of her husband to safely trust in her. And I do believe this has to do with some financial things too. You don't need, if your husband's very adamant about not having credit card debt, you don't need to be out there buying new furniture with a credit card. And I've known women that have done that. Their husband got everything paid off and they went and put a ton, thousands of dollars on the credit card. I can't imagine doing that to my husband, but there are some women that would and not think, they wouldn't think twice about it. So be moderate with your finances. Try to shop at places that you know you can afford. Okay. I love Aldi, love it. And where Kroger might be more like the highfalutin place, and they, might be cleaner and they might just look better, Aldi is what I can afford. So I'm going to shop at Aldi. Same with Target, Walmart. Target's a really cool place, but Walmart's cheaper for me. So I'm going to shop at Walmart because that's what I can afford. So all the financial stuff, just do in moderation. Try to stay within the budget that your husband gives you when it comes to food, when it comes to clothing, anything like that. So yes, I agree, Sarah. Julia got it. Sphagnum moss for diapers. And they used it to dress wounds in World War II. Julia's the one that sent the little video. It was real, of the Crunchy Mama lady talking about it. I had never heard about it, but she was talking about how she grows her own moss for diapers. I don't know. I didn't know that was the thing. So I think that's funny. You learn something new every day. But then how can we be moderate when it comes to our personality? I think across the board, women, men, we could all do well to be moderate and not excessive in any of these, such as speech. Learn to be moderate in speech. What does that mean? Don't be super loud and don't be demanding the attention on yourself. And, don't be over the top even with your speech. I remember we were at this youth conference, and this is a guy I always think of as excessive when it comes to speech. We were at this youth conference and they asked someone to pray, and he got up there, and I don't even want to pray. I know I've told this story before. I don't even want to pray because it seems blasphemous, but it was like what the Pharisees would pray, like, oh Lord God, just very dramatic, like he was doing a play. We come to you today, and just all these flowery words. And I was just, my husband said it was so funny because he could feel the look on my face, and I don't do well hiding my emotions sometimes. And he said he could feel the look on my face. And sure enough, I was just like, I didn't even have my head bowed because I just couldn't believe this guy was praying this way. And I was just looking at him like, are you serious? So that is excess speech. And it was like a 5-minute prayer. He basically preached a sermon in his prayer. So just be careful about excess speech. And then your demeanor. We can definitely learn to control, which I have a lot better than I used to. I've learned to control my demeanor, maybe not do exactly what I'm feeling when I exactly feel like it. We can learn how to be moderate in the way we treat others. We don't have to fly off the handle, and we don't have to scream at people, and we don't have to cuss people out. I would hope you're not as a Christian. We don't have to be vile towards people. Remember the golden rule. I know that's not exactly in the Bible. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, but the principle is there. So how you react to stressful situations. I've often heard that stress reveals who you really are, and that's convicting to me because I get stressed out under stressful situations a lot. So as I'm getting older, I'm learning to deal better with that, not let my impatience show, not let my anger at the situation show. So, but I do still fail often when it comes to this, because obviously stressful situations, we're going to be stressed out. But we can learn to react better to that. And then how you respond to aggression from others. Do you give tit for tat? Do you, well, this person spoke evil of me, so I'm going to speak evil of them? Do you retaliate to every little accusation? Well, if you do, it's going to be a miserable life because you're always going to be retaliating to something. So we can show moderation in just being wise with the situation and being wise when we're going to actually respond to something or when we're going to hold our peace. Even a fool is counted wise. The Bible talks about basically when he holds his peace or when he doesn't use, in the multitude of words, there wanteth not sin. So there's a lot of foolish things that can happen when you respond excessively with words, especially. So how you interact with the world, how do you show moderation as you interact with the world? I think of when you go out soul winning, how do you respond to them if they, are over the top? We've had some interesting interactions with people out soul winning, and we're the Christian. So the responsibility lies on us to keep our testimony. So even if you're being yelled at or cussed out, all right, you have a good day and we'll leave now, and you just turn and leave and don't keep responding as they're yelling at you. So, and then obviously spoken speech and written speech as well. So spoken speech, you can definitely learn to be moderate in that. Learn to sit and observe more than having to have all the focus on you as you talk. And then written speech, I think of this like just online stuff. Be careful and choosy with what you write and always use it with your name behind it, because anonymity, it bolsters confidence and it also takes away the weight of your name behind the words. So I don't like anonymity when it comes to writing stuff online, which you guys already knew that about. And if you have an opinion and having a little spitfire come out earns you a sermon, oh well. Oh well, it is what it is. It's better to earn you a sermon than to leave those same words under an anonymous name and no one know it's you, because I think that's the coward's way of doing things. So back up your words with your name and just learn moderation. I think that alone will teach you moderation when it comes to leaving comments, because there's been times I'll type out something and I just kind of save it and come back to it later and I end up deleting it. And I've never regretted deleting things, but I have regretted posting things and I have regretted leaving comments before. Like, why did I do that? Why didn't I just leave it alone? You learn the more that you are in this social media world that we have. My husband preached 2 really good messages yesterday. If you want to check them out, he preached, why do we have the loneliest generation that we've ever had? And I do believe a lot of it comes down to social media and then just the excess of everything. So people are never satisfied because they always want more. They want to do more and they want to experience more. There's this new trend. I had seen this a couple times and my son told me about this when we were on our way to Wisconsin. And I'm like, so that's a trend, because I've been seeing this. There's this new thing where they do these reels and they're like, I'll always be able to get my money back, but I won't always be 20 and be traveling the coast along France or something like that. I'll always be able to get my money back, but I won't always be 20 and going on trips across the world. My son's like, that's so stupid though, because you're probably not going to get your money back because you don't have any foundation. You're not building a good foundation. You're not working. You're just living for pleasure. And I'm glad he recognized that that was stupid, because I agree. That is a stupid philosophy. And they're not preparing themselves, because no one's preparing the younger generation for marriage. No one's preparing them to have a family. No one's preparing them to settle down. They're just telling them, you'll always be able to get your money back, but you won't always be 20 and be able to do this and this and this and this. They're not training them to think of their future at all. And I think that's a disservice that we're doing to that generation for sure. So try to instill moderation in your kids when it comes to things. I know we've had with ours, and none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect in this area. If I was perfect, I would be, probably 130 pounds and never a problem with my weight and have money saved up. And but none of us are perfect. in this. So, but it is always something that you can work on and strive for and try to teach your own children, because in a world where excess is everywhere, as Christians, we are supposed to be sober. We are supposed to exhibit self-control in different areas of our life, whether it comes to speech, whether it comes to food, whether it comes to exercise, whether it comes to the way that we treat others. We're supposed to exhibit self-control in these areas. So I hope that was a help. Chanello, you guys saw it. Chanello said that she'd probably be on with me. So I'm going to text her more about that. And that's a good verse. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. Very, very, very good verses there. Yes, and I agree, KJV. Health issues can cause us not to do well with stress too. I was at one of my lowest points in my life after I had Allie. So about 12 years ago, when I got herniated discs from her labor and delivery, and my back completely went out. I had to crawl everywhere around the house. And mind you, this was 12 years ago. So I had 5 kids. 5? Yep. I had 5 kids. And I remember crawling to the laundry room, putting clothes in, taking clothes out on my knees. It was awful. It was a horrible time of life. And at that point, I was extremely stressed out. But it's because I was in so much pain. So obviously there's going to be times where you're just going to have to make it through the day, and there's not much you can do about it. You might be in agony, you might be in pain, and you might be sad, you might be crying, and that's not the time for someone to say, just put a smile on, you'll get through it, God will see you through. That was the most agonizing pain I've ever been through in my life. And I think it gave me a greater appreciation or compassion on those who do have back problems. And to this day, I deal with back problems every day of my life. I'm in pain somewhat. So it does give me compassion on people that have degenerative disc disease like I do, people that have had herniated discs, people that have fibromyalgia, people that just live with chronic pain. I do have a lot more sympathy and compassion. So sometimes when we go through things in our life, I think it's God's way of teaching us compassion on those that also go through it. So anyways, I am glad that you ladies joined, and I will be talking to you, Chanello. So stay tuned for more guests, and I just been so busy I haven't had a lot lined up, but I plan on doing that this fall. So we will talk to you ladies next week.